Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're the show that really tries to cut through the noise and give you those key bits of knowledge.
The ones you need to feel really informed.
Exactly. And today, wow, we are embarking on this really extraordinary journey. We're looking into the processes of birth.
It's a fundamental process, but
Yeah.
incredibly intricate.
It really is. Our source today is a chapter called 12, Processes of Birth, and it's by Christine DeBeauty and Kristen L. Sheffer.
A really comprehensive look.
Yeah. So our mission basically is to get you way beyond just a surface glance. We're going to unpack the physiological stuff, the psychological side of birth.
Pulling out those key insights.
Right. Think of it as your shortcut maybe to understanding this incredibly complex, beautiful sequence, giving you knowledge that frankly most people just don't have.
And what's fascinating right from the start, DeBeauty and Sheffer stress how vital this understanding is. It's not just academic.
Right. It's practical.
Absolutely. For healthcare folks, parents, support systems,
Yeah.
anyone involved, really, it's foundational for providing safe, effective care.
Makes sense.
But even beyond that, just for anyone listening, it gives you such a powerful appreciation for, well, one of life's biggest events.
Yeah.
And understanding those expected changes they talk about gives you a framework. It helps you see what's typical and maybe more importantly, spot if something's going off track.
Okay, so let's kick things off then. Let's explore how the person giving birth, how their body and mind actually respond during labor.
Yeah,
Because often, we just think about the physical side, the contractions, the effort,
right, purely physical.
but the source says both physiology and psychology are critical, it sounds like. Like they feed off each other. Is that right? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Oh, absolutely. It's like a constant dance. You really can't separate them. Physiologically, I mean, the body's doing amazing things.
Monumental things.
Yeah, the uterus contracting, the cervix thinning and opening effacement and dilation, we call it.
Right.
But all that physical stuff,
Yeah.
it's in constant dialogue with the person's psychological state. Think about the intensity, the anticipation, maybe fear, or maybe this incredible focus and strength. And hormones play a huge role. Like if stress hormones, adrenaline, get too high, they can actually slow things down by interfering with oxytocin.
Oh, interesting. Oxytocin is key for contractions.
Exactly. But feeling calm, supported, that can actually boost the body's natural rhythm. So yeah, understanding both sides, the physical changes, the emotional journey, is absolutely fundamental. You need the whole picture for effective support.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And while the birthing person is going through all this, we can't forget the other main player here.
The baby.
Right. What about the fetus? What does its experience, its responses add to how we understand the whole thing? It's not just along for the ride, is it?
Not at all. No, the fetus is incredibly active. Monitoring its responses gives us this whole other layer of crucial information. Well, as the contractions happen and the baby moves through the birth canal, it has its own physiological responses to that pressure, that movement.
Right.
We monitor things like the fetal heart rate patterns. And what's really amazing is how the baby's heart rate adapts. You might see these brief dips, decelerations during a contraction.
It sounds worrying, maybe.
Sometimes, but often it's not. It can actually be this finely tuned response, showing the baby's resilience as it navigates this intense journey. It recovers quickly.
Oh.
So understanding these patterns helps us see how well the baby is coping, making sure it's safe and healthy. It tells us if we might need to step in. It really shows that birth is this dynamic interaction, a shared thing.
A shared experience, yeah. Building on that interconnectedness then, let's dive into the mechanics, the actual, nuts and bolts.
Okay.
How do all the different elements of the contractions, the baby's position, maybe even the person's emotional state, how do they all work together? How do they influence how labor actually proceeds? It sounds like a real symphony.
It absolutely is. And that's exactly what DeBeauty and Sheffer emphasize. Birth isn't simple or linear.
Definitely not.
We often talk about the 5 Ps. Have you heard of those?
Remind me.
Okay, so there's the power, that's the contractions, the passage, the pelvis, the passenger, that's the baby.
Right.
Then the psyche, the birthing person's emotional state, and finally their position during labor.
Okay, the 5 Ps.
And none of them work alone. They're all interconnected. So, for instance, the psyche, the emotional state, that can affect the power, the strength of the contractions.
Ah, right, like the stress hormones we talked about.
Exactly. And the baby's position, the passenger, dramatically impacts how easily it moves through the passage, the pelvis.
Makes sense.
So it's the interplay of all these things that determines the whole course of labor. Understanding how they relate is how we recognize those expected changes, what's normal, and spot when maybe something isn't quite right.
Okay. And let's drill down a bit more on that passage and passenger interaction, especially for vaginal birth.
Hmm.
We hear about the mechanisms of labor. What exactly are those? What are these incredible movements the baby has to make?
Yeah, this is where the biomechanics are just fascinating. The mechanisms of labor. It's this series of very specific sequential movements the baby makes. They call them cardinal movements.
Cardinal movements. Okay.
And the baby has to do this to navigate the birth canal, which is, well, surprisingly tight and often curved.
Like fitting a peg through a tricky hole.
Kind of. Imagine trying to get a round-ish head through a slightly oval winding tunnel. The baby makes these subtle but absolutely crucial adjustments.
Okay, what are they?
So typically, it starts with engagement. That's when the widest part of the baby's head enters the pelvis. Then descent, just moving down.
Right.
Then flexion. The baby tucks its chin right down to its chest. That makes the head present its smallest diameter. Super important.
Clever.
Then internal rotation, where the head turns to fit the widest part of the pelvis. Then extension, as the head actually emerges.
Almost there.
Yep. Then external rotation, where the head lines up with the shoulders again. And finally, expulsion, the rest of the body is born.
Wow. Each one a tiny, perfect adaptation.
Exactly. It's how the baby navigates the whole process of vaginal birth. It's really a marvel of, like, natural engineering.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift gears a bit to the more practical side of things, recognizing when labor might be starting.
The early signs. Yeah.
For anyone listening, whether it's them or someone they're supporting, knowing what to look for seems really key. What are some of those first clues?
Yeah, recognizing these is definitely the first step, and the source highlights their importance. You might hear about lightning.
What's that?
That's when the baby drops lower into the pelvis.
Okay.
It can actually make breathing feel a bit easier for the mom, but puts more pressure down below, like on the bladder.
Okay.
Then there's the bloody show. That's the mucus plug from the cervix coming away, maybe tinged with a bit of blood. It means the cervix is starting to change.
Right, getting ready.
Exactly. And of course, the one everyone knows, the rupture of membranes.
Your water breaking.
Yeah, though it's not always a big gush like in the movies, it can be a slow trickle too. But yeah, recognizing these signs helps people get ready, mentally and practically.
Okay, but that brings us to something that causes a lot of confusion, I think.
True versus false labor.
Exactly. How do you tell the difference, especially when contractions start? What's the key distinction?
Yeah, this is super important, as the source implies, for everyone involved, the family, the nurse deciding when to act, when to go to the hospital.
So what should you look for?
The main thing is the nature of the contractions. True labor contractions. They typically get stronger, last longer, and get closer together over time, progressively.
Okay, they build.
Right. And crucially, they don't ease up if you move around or rest. And they cause real changes in the cervix, that dilation and effacement we mentioned.
They're actually doing something.
Exactly. False labor contractions, often called Braxton Hicks, they're usually irregular, maybe milder, and they often do ease up with walking or resting or drinking water.
So they might feel real, but they're not progressing things.
Pretty much. They're uncomfortable, sure, but they don't cause those progressive cervical changes. Knowing the difference saves a lot of unnecessary anxiety and trips to the hospital. Helps you know when it's just like a practice run versus the main event.
Right, conserving energy for the real thing. It's also fascinating how different labor can be for different people.
Oh, hugely different.
And the source points this out, comparing nulliparous and parous clients, so first-time moms, versus those who've given birth before.
Yep, nulliparous means never given birth, parous means they have.
Beyond the obvious, what are the big differences there? Why does the body seem to remember?
Well, it's a critical distinction because it really affects the expected changes and timing. A nulliparous client, someone having their first baby vaginally, their labor is typically significantly longer.
Why is that?
Because their cervix and birth canal haven't done this before. They're less primed, you could say. It just takes more time, more work for the cervix to soften, thin out, and open up that first time.
Makes sense. So for someone who's given birth before.
For a parous client, yeah, labor is often shorter, sometimes much shorter,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe more efficient. The body has been there before. The tissues are often more pliable. The muscles might work more effectively.
The pathway is sort of established.
Kind of, yeah. It usually leads to quicker cervical changes and the baby moving down faster. It's a major factor in how labor progresses and how it's managed. Understanding this helps tailor support and expectations.
Okay, so to pull all these threads together, let's talk about the stages of labor. This feels like the roadmap that organizes the whole thing.
Exactly. Debuty and Sheffer use these stages as that essential framework. It helps make sense of what can feel like, well, a pretty intense and maybe chaotic process.
So what are the main stages?
Generally, we talk about 4 stages. The first stage is the longest one. It starts with those regular effective contractions and goes all the way until the cervix is fully dilated, usually about 10 centimeters.
That's the main dilation part.
Right. Then the second stage starts when cervix is fully open and ends with the birth of the baby. This is often when active pushing happens.
The pushing stage.
The third stage is usually pretty quick. It's the delivery of the placenta after the baby's born.
Right, the afterbirth.
Yep. And
Yeah.
finally, the fourth stage. That's the immediate postpartum period, maybe the first hour or two after birth. The focus shifts to the mom's recovery and that initial bonding time with the baby.
Okay.
Understanding these stages gives that basis for identifying abnormal occurrences, like the source says. It helps guide support through each phase, anticipate what's needed, and make sure everything's progressing safely. It breaks the journey down.
Wow. Okay. We have really covered a lot today, haven't we?
We really have.
Pulling from Christine Day-Beauty and Kristinelle Sheffer's work on the processes of birth, from the experiences of both the birthing person and the baby.
The interconnectedness.
Yeah, to the incredible mechanics, the actual movements, and then the practical stuff signs, true versus false labor, the stages. We really hope this has given you that shortcut to feeling, genuinely well-informed.
And I think the big takeaway really is that this knowledge, understanding the physiology, the psychology, the components, the mechanisms, the stages, it's incredibly empowering.
It really is.
It's not just theory. For anyone involved, it means more awareness, better decisions, and crucially, knowing the difference between those expected changes and potential abnormal occurrences.
Which leads back to that safe, effective care.
Exactly. It all contributes to safer care and potentially a more positive experience for everyone.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. We've talked about these meticulous, interconnected processes that define birth from the cellular level right up to this grand bodily orchestration. What does really understanding this reveal about the sheer resilience, the adaptability of the human body? And maybe, how could that perspective shape how we view interconnectedness in all biological systems, not just within us, but, all around us, too?
That's a profound question. Definitely something to ponder.
Absolutely. Something to think about until our next deep dive.